Hello everyone. In this video, I'll begin to discuss actually all about the introduction to machine learning and its integration with NLP. So, since you've already studied all about machine learning, as to review those things, um, what is machine learning? That is actually a branch of artificial intelligence that allows computers to learn from data and improve their performance over time without being explicitly programmed. Instead of following hard-coded instructions, machine learning models identify patterns from large data sets and apply those patterns to make predictions or decisions when new data is encountered. So as what we have mentioned last meeting, that machine learning is actually part of AI, that it tells our computers or our particular studies or systems, for example, to learn from the particular data in order for those system performance would really learn, would really know how to behave. And then it will be strengthened through our NLP to also know um, dealing with the um, deeper structures of those importance sa atin ng mga semantics. Okay. Now, there will be types of machine learning. Those are the supervised learning, unsupervised, and so on and so forth. So, for supervised learning, it is actually involves training a model on labeled data where the input data and the correct output are provided. And the model learns the mapping from inputs to outputs and can then predict the output for new SIM data. So in supervised learning class, it is actually um, easy already since our data sets already do have such labels and where the input of our data is really easy to be mapped out. For example, if we're trying to use with classification, we can definitely easily classify those cases. For example, those data, since we don't have to run a certain model in order for us to um like identify what type of data is this. Then there will be subtypes of supervised learning, which is classification. Classification is in our machine learning. It is actually used when the output is category label and the model learns to assign inputs to these categories. Like for example, an email spam filter that classifies emails as spam or not spam based on labeled examples. So this is being categorized, this is being classified into specific certain classification, of course. So from the word classifications, we're classifying that one. If, for example, um, in your data, for example, data set, for example, in your thesis, like you're having citrus cancer. So, I don't know, is that cancer or whatever? Um, there will be more types of that. If you were not able to use supervisor, you will begin to, I mean, if you're using supervised data sets, you can classify that one in different categories. Like, um, for example, sa inyong mga citrus, kung ano siya, if it is belong to this kind, citrus canker, it is highly contagious or it could be destructive or it could be not. It depends on those classifications. Here then, for the email, is it as a spam or is it not spam? Those are the categorization or classification, I mean. Now, for regression, it is actually involves predicting continuous values from input data, where the output is numeric value. So for regression class, this is actually common sa atin nga machine learning. since we're trying to predicting house prices based on features like area, number of rooms, and location. So for the regression, this is actually the a type of model which is a bit versatile since this is a statistical method. Of course, since we're able to predict particular outcome, either we're trying to identify those independent or dependent variables, amo magina ang aton nga focus when it comes to regression. So there's a lot of types of regression, but we'll not begin to really deal with that here. Those are the linear regression, multiple linear regression, um, mga cubic, spline, or whatsoever. You already know that in your machine learning. Hopefully that you're able to strengthen your knowledge about those about those machine learning in your previous lesson. Now, for unsupervised learning, it actually involves training a model and data that does not have labeled outputs, allowing the model to discover patterns and groupings within the data. And the model tries to find hidden structures then in the data based on the inherent similarities. So when it comes to the unsupervised learning, since this will be another types of machine learning, we are trying to analyze, we're trying to cluster, excuse me, trying to cluster unlabeled data set. It actually allows our algorithm to really discover those hidden patterns. It could be where we can actually, or I mean, groupings without human intervention. Those are our, we're trying to group them according to, could be classes or whatsoever. So since this is actually no models, so we are no labels. So we're trying to use models to train on the data that lacks with those pre-existing. Unlike with the supervised that there will be pre-existing labels already. So we're trying to categorize here first. So now, common techniques for the unsupervised, may mga k-means clustering, ano mga method na ginagamit natin. So for unsupervised learning, there will be clustering. So clustering involves grouping similar data points together where data points are in the same are more similar to each other than to those in other group. So for clustering class, we're able to clusterize those data points if it belongs to or I mean we're trying to partition those data sets that you do have per families nila or set of objects into particular group site as long as you're trying to cluster them into their specific same group then. So that's our goal for the clustering. Afterwards, clustering involves grouping similar data points together where data points in the same group are similar to each other than to those in other groups. So we're trying to example, segmenting customers based on purchasing behavior into groups like high spenders and bargain hunters. So we're trying to cluster them who are those individuals like um even this kind of do have or I mean belongs to this um particular they call this one group. So that is our focus. Now, for the unsupervised learning, we also do have the association. Um, for association learning, identifies the relationship between different variables in the data set. So for association learning class, the example right there is the market-based um, analysis basket analysis where the model discovers that the customers who buy bread are likely to buy butter as well. So for this association rule minding, our goal here is to use, I mean, is to, what I mean, this is actually being used to discover those hidden interesting relationship and patterns. So between the variables in large often will be transactional. Um, daw ka if then balahaw. So it identifies the if then associations. So for example, if ang customer mabuy sang bread, then pwede man mabuy sang butter. Like for example, daw may X and Y ano ba na? Like in our discrete structure, we have this X then Y daw implication, di ba? So if the certain buyer will begin to buy X, then also Y could be like that. They're associated with each other. So afterwards, we also have the reinforcement learning. For reinforcement learning, it is different. So reinforcement learning class involves an agent learning how to act in an environment by performing actions and receiving rewards or penalties based on those actions. The goal of this agent of the agent is to maximize its cumulative reward over time by adjusting its action through trial and error. So for reinforcement learning, we have a lot of types for that one. But our focus here then, this is actually the techniques where they where an autonomous agent learns to make optimal decisions through trial and error, then maximizing the rewards by interacting with the environment. Those are the cases. We're trying to rely on feedback, um, here, no label data sets too. We're trying to learn optimal strategies for tasks like mga robotics and gaming and the like. So, may piece framework na ni nga gina-apply, bibi. So, for reinforcement learning, we have Q learning. For Q learning naman, it is absolutely a value-based and reinforcement learning technique that helps the agent learn the value of each action in a given state to make better decision. So for Q-learning agent, um, say for example, a chess playing AI, um, to make moves by trial and error, adjusting its strategy based on the outcomes of previous games. That is the example for Q-learning agent. So the Q-learning agent class, our focus here, since this is the AI entity, this actually learns to make optimal decisions through a process of trial and error in an environment. So without requiring a pre-existing model of that particular environment. So the Q actually stands for quality, referring to the agent's internal functions, which we also estimate the expected long-term rewards for the Q values. Then taking specific actions in particular or different states, for example. So this is actually, if you were able to expand that sa inyong machine learning, this is gonna be fun. Um, However, we cannot really deal with that here since I'm just introducing you a bit of that. Now, another one here is the deep reinforcement, excuse me, reinforcement learning. For a reinforcement learning, it combines reinforcement learning with deep learning techniques using neural networks to handle more complex environment. So meaning to say, ano siya, ning hybrid. Say, for example, a self-driving car learning to navigate city streets, optimizing its driving strategy through interaction with the environment. So in this one, for the deep reinforcement learning, it combines neural networks with those reinforcement learning, which enables the agents to make decisions by trial and error still. But we're trying to maximize the cumulative reward in complex and high dimensional environment. Since we're using deep learning for the pattern recognition, and then the reinforcement learning for the action selection. So it will allow the AI to really master its task for when it comes for gaming, for example, from gaming or to robotics, like for example, like that. So this is actually a bit of advanced na siyang model. Since we're able to the strengthen their efficiency when it comes to using this kind of approaches. Since this is a considered hybrid type of machine learning. Sorry, so you know. Now we have here the key components of machine learning as well, which is the data in machine learning. The data is the foundation of machine learning as models learn from historical examples provided in the form of dataset. The quality, quantity, and um, variety of data are critical factors that influence the model's ability to make accurate prediction. So here then our focus, this is actually the important thing that we're trying to observe, that this is actually the data set in itself. So we're using this data in order for us to make the sampling, for example, or this will really serve as the raw the data is actually serving the raw observations for measurement, which we're trying to use this to train for validation and testing of in our model. Now, we have data in machine learning like numerical data. When we say numerical data, it's based on number. So it consists of quantitative um, values that can be measured and expressed as numbers, like for example, temperature, readings, or sales revenue figures, which can be analyzed to find trends or make prediction. So in our CAMSTOR, we're trying to use the numerical data set because those are actually consisting of exact numbers which represent measurable quantities or specific since time series forecasting man po yung ginagamit. So, we are using, it could be temperature, commodities, weights, age, or so on and so forth. Now, which is either could be discrete data or continuous data in terms of numerical. Sorry, they are so, ano, let me pause and I'll be going to ikot ko na lang sa okay, so let's continue. Here then we are done with the numerical data. Let's move on to the another category. I mean components of machine learning. So another machine learning data will be categorical data. For categorical data class, it will be different also. Since categorical data is data that can be grouped into um, distinct category or classes, and it is commonly used in classification task, like for example, gender for male and female, um, or color, there will be red, blue, green, where the data is divided into non-overlapping categories. Now, for categorical data, we are representing variable with distinct. Like, for example, non-numerical labels siya. So, amo na siya, ang colors natin. that must be encoded into numerical format for machine learning um, algorithms to process still. How to work on that? Say, for example, you will be going to work on with the types of data will using the since may mga ano man tano types of categorical like nominal katong mga ordinal. Then for encoding techniques for that, you can create binary columns. Say for example, 0 or 1 for each category, or 0 for other category and 1 for another category, or label or ordinal encoding like 0 to n number based on the order, like those cases. So make sure that you are familiar with those categories of data in our machine learning since that is really important as well. Now, there will be also text data in machine learning. So, excuse me, text data in machine learning is composed of written words or sentences, and then often unstructured and used in NLP. Tasks like sentiment analysis or text classification. Often I hear example the customer reviews or social media posts which can be analyzed to determine the sentiment or categorize content. So here then, Dai, excuse me. Ang dog Dai. Gusto niya, ano, na daw, suicide for yung ido. Oh my goodness, yung hikot na gani ang bata. Anyway, for the text data class, it is a vast source of unstructured information that we are using in NLP. This is our data nga ginagamit amo ng gina-use ni Subong. So like where there will be mga unstructured data also unlike numerical data nga may numbers lang. But here then, we need to pre-process this data or you will also deal with vectorization. You will begin to process by converting the text into numerical representation if possible. Um, since machine learning models can use those representation for the training. Now, for the workflow of this text data, there will be text cleaning. You have to remove those noise, the punctuation, mga spaces, special symbols. That's actually um, the process usually that we'll begin to work on. Then lower casing sa data mo since you have to convert all the text to lowercase to ensure that this is actually consistent. Then afterwards, that's the time that we'll begin to start the tokenization. Then we're gonna remove the stop words. Then we can also perform mga lemmatization or stemming. Then afterwards, you work on with those vectorization na, and then you can work on with may mga types sa ano or method na sa vectorization like I've actually heard that in your videos magamit ka mo term frequency inverse decibel frequency mga TF-IDF usually this is ano man usually implemented to since waiting scheme man siya that highlights those words that are distinct to specific document within a larger collection or corpus. Then we can also use those bag of words which ignore the grammar and word order. Then or it could be the word embeddings. It depends on you. Then you can apply that in any cases like those sentiment analysis, the spam detection, mga translation, so on and so forth sa ating NLP. Then there will be another components here aside from this data. Um, sorry, is that working now? Let me push next. Okay, sorry. Wait, what happened to this? Okay, there you have it. Now, algorithms in machine learning. Algorithms are their mathematical methods used to process data, identify patterns, and create models for making prediction. These algorithms, how the model learns from data and applies those learning to unseen examples. So this is the steps that we're particularly using to perform those cases. Now, let's actually go over with this. For algorithms in machine learning, this is actually includes the linear regression. So when we say linear regression, you were able to perform this in your operations research. Most of you were able to to usually use this in our operations research before, but hopefully in your in your I know machine learning, you were able to expand your learnings about the linear regression because damo pa man linear regression nga I mean classes or types. Now, linear regression is used to model the relationship between a dependent and independent variables by fitting a linear equation. So, example, we're trying to predict the price of a house based on its square footage and number of bedrooms. Those are our goal. So in linear regression, since as what I have mentioned, we're trying to um ano di um those linear relationship between the dependent target sa one or more independent predictor variables mo. So by fitting a best fit straight line regression lines to our data points. So we're trying to predict continuous numerical outcomes most likely ang mga gina. So we're trying to usually predict the continuous values man gid like sa inyo sa I don't know if you're able to work on with sales or temperature. I don't think so. There will be damo-damo na mga ano ni formulas since for simple linear regression medyo hapos pa siya a little bit. I don't think so. May mga beta na nasa gani and mga XX1, X sub N, or I'm not really sure. I can't memorize the formula. So, this is actually applied in mga before bala sa inyong CAMSOR under my supervision still. If you're dealing with sales forecasting, this is gonna be um, effective. Those simple linear regression. And kaya ara man ta multiple linear regression if you're using two or more independent variables. Now, I think Mr. Villegas were able to use that in the research before. Like, I can still remember it. But may mapping to siya gani nga daw ka. Very good to siya. Now, for another, okay, next. For the another algorithms in machine learning, there will be here, decision trees. I don't know what's going on. Let's see. Okay. Now, decision trees use a flowchart-like structure to split data into subset based on feature values, helping in decision making or classification. For example, classifying animals based on attributes like size, color, and habitat. So, for decision trees, we're able to discuss that um, in our animal. Like in overcome SOAR before. But decision trees, there will be components in terms of that. There will be root node, mga internal nodes, mga decision variables. There will be branches, leaf node, and then you can also do the pruning stage here to avoid to remove those branches na you cannot check the optimal value since decision tree this is actually particularly a supervised machine learning technique that we use for hierarchical or flowchart like structure of sequential like mga if then statements to make prediction or classification or classify data. Um, since it will recursively partition a data set into smaller parts, like more homogeneous subsets based on specific features, value until our outcome we're able to reach. And then we also have neural networks. Networks class is um, are computational models inspired by the human brain, then consisting of layers or interconnected neurons that help in recognizing complex pattern. Now, like for example, image recognition in self-driving cars where neural networks identify pedestrians and traffic signs. So this is a type of simulations na mimicking the real-world scenario already. Since this is a foundational deep learning technology already, so designed to mimic the human brain by using layers of it could be interconnected nodes or neurons to process those data and then can recognize the complex patterns actually. And they can automatically learn data representation without explicit programming um, by utilizing input or hidden and output layers to map input data to accurate predictions or classification. So that's why it is a bit of I know advanced since it could really mimic or it can simulate the real world scenario. Another components for machine learning is the training and testing. So the model is trained on a portion of the data set, training set, and tested on unseen data or the testing set to evaluate its performance. This process helps determine whether the model can generalize to new or unseen examples. So for this particular field class, this is the important ano gits ang ating models. We're trying to train the those data sets sa ating model if this is gonna be having good I mean it could provide a structured data and then you will begin to validate or test that one, those unseen data to evaluate the performance if ever sa inyo NLP, you will begin to train the data based on the hybrid, for example, like mga Roberta, based, then paired with mga rule-based, kas rule-based nga, ano, the model. And then afterwards, since we're able to split the data with 80/20, then the testing set, we will begin to try that to to particularly check the performance, evaluate the performance based on the accuracy, precision, recall, like those pieces. So since that is for the NLP, and like with the cancer natin ligad, you're able to check what will be the error like the MAE, the RMSE, the R squared, or mga advanced mga metrics. So for training class, the model learns from the training data, adjusting its parameter to minimize error in its prediction, of course. It's the function. For testing, we're trying to evaluate on a separate testing set to check how will it generalize to the new data. Now, we can also do for training and testing, we also involve the cross-validation. Cross-validation involves splitting the data into multiple subsets and validating the model on each subset, ensuring the model performs consistently across different data segments. So in our machine learning, we often do cross-validation since cross-validation is a robust iterative resampling technique actually, which we are able to use to evaluate machine learning models by partitioning data into subsets, training on some and testing on others. So The purpose of this one, it will help to select the best model also. Also choose the hyperparameters, estimate generalization error, which is critical for smaller data sets. It could be you can work on with k-fold cross validations like pila ka folds that k 1 to 10 for example, or stratified k-folds. Damo ka pa nga ano da since I want you to perform this one if ever. Want you to perform how many folds in your ano NLP. Since this is simply to validate good sa inyong test training sets. Now let's move on to the natural language processing or the NLP. It is a subfield of AI focused on enabling machines to interact with human language. NLP involved tasks such as text understanding, generation, and translation, allowing computers to process and understand human language in a meaningful way. So, as what we have mentioned for the NLP, we're trying to enable our computer to understand, to interpret, and generate human language. Since we're trying to, here, strengthen na mas knowledgeable pagid siya in terms of um, human communication and computer understanding. We're able to bridge those gaps. Now, the core task in NLP, medyo redundant lang ni siya. However, we have to still discuss this. Tokenization, it is the process of splitting text into smaller units, like words or sentences, which helps in processing and analyzing text. It's a key first step in most NLP tasks as it prepares the task for further analysis. This is important class. After you were able to strengthen the data cleaning, you tokenize mo na siya. Like for example, you break down text into individual words, which are the smallest units of meaning. Like for example, I love NLP, so I then love NLP. This is actually how you will begin to tokenize words. It could be in sentence tokenization, you're splitting text into sentences, allowing the system to analyze text at a higher structural level. So, say, for example, tokenizing I love NLP, it's amazing. So you can tokenize that I love NLP, then separate with it's amazing. So that's how you will it work. Now, part of speech tagging after. So for POS tagging tasks, assign grammatical task like noun, verb, adjective, eight part of speech katong mga yun nato to each word in a sentence to understand its syntactic role. This is essential for understanding the structure of the sentence and extracting meaning. So, like for example, assigning part of speech tag to each word based on its function in the sentence. Like for example, I love NLP. I is pronoun, love for verb, NLP for noun. This is really gonna be our task in the future. And then after named entity recognition, it is the task of identifying and classifying named entities such as people, locations, and dates to text. This is critical for extracting structured information from unstructured text then. So, like for example here, we're trying to identify names of individuals or group in text. Like for example, John visited Paris in July. So John is a person, Paris is the location, and July is the date. So that's how you will begin to work on with named entity recognition. There will be local entities also, recognizing the geographical names or places in text like I am in New York. New York is location. Now, another core will be the sentiment analysis. Will determine whether the sentiment expressed positive, negative, or neutral, widely used for analyzing social media, reviews, and customer feedback. Like, for example, fine-grained sentiment, analyzing sentiment with more details, such as detecting emotions or opinion. Like, for example, I absolutely love this phone, and that is positive and enthusiastic, so it can be classified as like that. Or it could be coarse grain sentiment, which is broad sentiment analysis, classifying text as positive, then negative or neutral. So say for example, I love this phone. It's positive. So that's actually how it works. Now, there will be integration of machine learning with NLP. So machine learning enhances NLP by allowing systems to learn from data, improving their ability to handle complex tasks like sentiment analysis, language translation, and text summarization. This integration enables NLP systems to adapt and improve over time, achieving better performance. So if we're begin to integrate machine learning into our NLP class, it will be good because our the NLP will really learn from the data and how it behaves. That this will really strengthen our implementations. So types of machine learning used in NLP, it could be the supervised learning in NLP, involves training models on labeled text data to predict categories or labels for new text. For example, sentiment analysis and product reviews, where the model learns to classify reviews as positive or negative. So that's how it works. And we also have here for unsupervised learning in NLP, involves finding patterns in text data without labeled outputs. Like for example, topic modeling, where the model groups articles into topics like sports, politics, and entertainment. Those are the cases. Then we also have deep learning in NLP. Deep learning techniques, particularly neural networks, are used to model complex language patterns for tasks like text generation and translation. So the example for this deep learning, those are the BERT, mga Roberta, GPT models for generating text, translating sentences, or answering questions. Those are the models that we can also strengthen those NLP that we do have. Now, overfitting and underfitting. What is overfitting? Occurs when model learns not only the underlying patterns but also the noise and irrelevant details in the training data. This makes the model too complex and results in poor performance on new unseen data. So say for example, you're trying to work on with linear tapos ang result it's not linear, nag-polynomial na siya, nagtiko na siya, so it's somewhat overfitting. So, for example, a decision tree model with too many branches might perfectly classify the training data but fail to generalize to new examples. That's actually how for overfitting. Now, underfitting happens when a model is too simple to capture the patterns and the data, resulting in poor performance on both the training and testing data set. So the model fails to learn the underlying relationship in the data. Say, for example, a linear regression model predicting house prices based only on the number of bedrooms, ignoring other important factors like location might underfit the data. So, amo ni nga cases na natabo sa aton nga testing. Now, advanced topic in machine learning, plus the language, natural language processing, deep learning models like transformer models, have revolutionized by using self-attention mechanism to process all parts of a text simultaneously, enabling them to capture long-range dependencies in data. And these models have led to significant improvements in tasks like translation, text generations, and language modeling. So, may mga transformer models ta like mga BERT, katong mga, let me go next. So yeah, BERT, bidirectional encoder representation from transformer or the GPT, the generative transformer, and T5 or the text to text transfer transformer, or are all transformer models that perform exceptionally well in tasks such as language understanding, text generation, and question answering. So you can actually work on with those models if you wanted to. Then we also have mga recurrent neural networks or our deep learning models, RNN, designed for sequence prediction tasks by maintaining a memory of previous input, which is ideal for modeling sequential data like text or speech. So can classify audio and text. Unlike traditional neural networks, mga RNN could process sequences of data step by step, making them effective for tasks such as language modeling and time series prediction. This could really strengthen sa ating implementation. So, the example, RNN are often used in language modeling, such as predicting the next word, tapos in a sequence, and have been foundational in tasks like machine translation, speech recognition. So, vast na gini siya nga ginagamit ang RNN Subo since not only in terms of NLP but of course this has been used for um, miskan sa ano gani bioinformatics we're using um, deep learning and machine learning models to really strengthen, to really learn the implementations well. Now, attention mechanism allow models to focus on specific part of the input data when making prediction, which is particularly useful for tasks like translation, summarization, and question answering. So this mechanism enhances the model ability to learn relevant relationship in long or complex input sequences. So in this field class, those model, advanced machine learning and deep learning models could really simplify, do have the mechanism to really attentive in those kind of details when it comes to summarization, mga translation, and so on and so forth. Then, example, BERT uses an attention mechanism to identify the most important parts of the input text, improving models' understanding of context and relationship between words. However, miskan si BERT gani, may mga limitations pa man, but you can strengthen if may mga sentence, ano na, much better sa sentence bidirectional encoder representation para mas, ano pa siya, mas strengthen pa siya. Now, we have transfer learning. Involves taking a pre-trained model that has been trained on large data sets and fine-tuning it for a specific task, making it more efficient and reducing the need for extensive data. So this method allows models to apply general knowledge, learn from one domain to another, improving performance with less data. So transfer learning is actually mga we can just fine-tune this easily. So say for example, BERT can be fine-tuned for specific NLP tasks such as sentiment analysis or name and recognition, retraining it on a smaller scale. Task-specific data set offer it has been pre-trained on a large corpus of text data. So, medyo improved na ang iyang um, implementation. So for improved models, future machine learning plus the NLP integration, improved models, more advanced models such as the GPT-4, latest version of BERT, pushing the boundaries of the language understanding generation. These models are designed to handle more complex tasks, understand context better, and generate more coherent and natural language outputs. May mga improved models like, for example, GPT, an advanced version of BERT, and are achieving state-of-the-art performance in tasks like text generation, question answering, summarization, and the like. So, mga amo to mga applications sa real-world scenarios. So the future of NLP will really see the rise of real-time application, of course, because where models can instantly process, they can really understand and interpret the language as it being spoken or written, enabling seamless communication. Pwede na niya makaubras ang robot nga could be kasi mag 75% ano na siya, rational, could be like that. Application will have a profound impact on global communication and accessibility, making language barriers virtually non-existent. So especially if we can really solve 100% sa mga ambiguity, so it is really good. Real-time example, language translation model like Google Translate are becoming increasingly sophisticated enabling users to communicate instantly in different languages, while live transcription rather, and voice-based assistance systems improve user experience and multilingual context. So say for example, if you can build with the system na maka-detect na lang sa ating nga ginahambal and then auto-translate, like for example, if you're a Miss Universe candidate, then there will be a system na lang na mo-auto simulate isang isang ma-interpret some question, and then you can easily also say those words, and then there will be a system. Unlike with ma-hire pagid sang specific na translator. So it could be like those. Then ethical concerns. As NLP and machine learning technologies advance, ethical concerns here in terms of privacy, tapos may bias, transparency become more significant. Of course, because hindi gina siya makapamutig. Whatever ng mga data nga ginahambal, of course, ma-divulge gina if ever mag-ask ang client. So, for example, if ever that has been stored in the brain of the system. So, in short, that these models are used responsibly, providing equitable outcomes and protecting sensitive information is a must also. Since at the end of the day, we are still the rational being. Now, the issues such as data privacy, algorithmic bias must be addressed, especially in applications like hiring system, facial recognition, automated decision making to avoid reinforcing social inequalities and to ensure transparency in AI action. Because of course, plus if you were not able to support or um encrypt those messages, for example, your system could really provide those mga data nga wala na ano ng you were not able to permit mga unpermitted data. So basi ma-show ya sa mga public kasi for example, they could just happen, of course. Now, those are the details for the machine learning. So thank you so much, and hopefully that you were able to capture out the discussion and make sure to study those kind of details as we will be to have our quiz, and then make sure to also put your takeaways in the comments